Hi, I'm Colleen Pearl, the Cool Crone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be your astrologer for December 2022. Hi, and welcome to Astrology for December 2022. In this video, I'm going to cover astrology mainly for December, but starting on November 23rd and lasting to December 23rd, because that's going from one new moon to the next, a whole lunar cycle. If you are interested in getting a personal reading with me for the year, please go to my website, thecoolcrone.com, and click on the Services tab and then Book Now. You'll be all set for an appointment before you know it. Now let's get on with astrology for December 2022. In this video, I will deal with the planetary ingresses, the retrograde planets, and then all the planetary aspects between those two new moons that I just mentioned. In the planetary aspects section, I'm going to be naming the actual degrees up front. So you may want to have your natal chart handy so that you can check it to see where you have those degrees. You may have planets very close or very far away. If they're at least within 4 degrees of the degrees that I name, then the aspect probably will affect you. If it's more than that, it probably won't. That's just the way aspects work. Keep in mind that for the quick moving planets, that's Mercury, Mars, Venus, the moon, and the sun, aspects will only last about a day, maybe 2 at most, except right now for Mars, which is retrograde in Gemini, and is spending about 3 days on each of those degrees. When it comes to the slower moving planets, that's Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, those aspects will last a bit longer, and some quite a bit longer. All right, let's get on with planetary ingresses. On November 23rd, the sun will enter the sign of Sagittarius. This coincides with the new moon in Sagittarius. So we're going to get a big dose of Sagittarian energy on that day. That's right before Thanksgiving in this country. So we're going to feel like the holidays have started. We're going to feel like everything should be moving forward with love and joy and festivity and happiness. That may or may not be the case, but on that day, that's the way we're going to feel. On December 7th, we will have Mercury entering the sign of Capricorn. Now, that's the same day as the full moon in Gemini. So that day is going to give a much different feeling to the atmosphere. On December 11th, we have Venus entering the sign of Capricorn. Again, just really emphasizing that Capricorn feeling, which is much more practical, more concerned with status, more concerned with monetary issues than Sagittarius. On December 19th, Ceres enters the sign of Libra. I haven't mentioned Ceres quite a bit in the last few videos, but it is changing signs, so I thought I'd bring her up. On December 21st, which is usually the winter solstice, we have Jupiter entering Aries. So that's going to give a big joyous feeling and an energetic, childlike feel to the winter solstice itself. Retrograde planets. We have quite a few retrograde planets this month. On December 23rd, however, Jupiter will go direct. Now, I just mentioned that that is the date of the new moon. So in addition to all the other stuff that's happening on the new moon, we also have a planet changing directions, and that's always a big deal. In the month of December, we will still have Mars retrograde in Gemini, Uranus retrograde in Taurus, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and Chiron retrograde in Aries. So all of those planets are still going to be retrograde all through the month of December. I'm also going to mention that on December 29th, which is out of the scope of this video, but I wanted to bring it up because it's going to happen really quick after the scope of this video, Mercury will go retrograde in Capricorn at 24 degrees, 21 minutes. So get ready for that. On November 23rd, we are going to have a new moon in Sagittarius. This is a bright, happy new moon because of the sign Sagittarius. The sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus are all in the same sign, and the ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter, is in a harmonious aspect to all of them. In addition, Jupiter is conjunct Neptune in that sign of Pisces, which is the traditional ruler also of Jupiter. This makes all of the planetary placements very, very strong, exhibiting very, very fully the characteristics of their signs. The sun in Sagittarius always kicks off our holiday season, not just in this country, but all over the world. Whether you're celebrating Christmas, Yule, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Boxing Day, Winter Solstice, St. Lucia's Day, or St. Nicholas Day, that Sagittarian enthusiasm is sure to fuel your energy to plan, to cook, to decorate, to get dressed for whatever you're celebrating for your season. When you add in the moon, because we are talking about the new moon, plus Mercury and Venus, we have a tremendous amount of energy pushing us forward surrounding friends, family, things we hold dear, home, siblings, community, and any number of concepts that touch people's heart. Sagittarius pushes people towards celebrating, but also forgiving. And this results in clothing drives, food drives, toy drives for kids that are underprivileged, etc. Now, I wish all that Sagittarian energy would push people into programs that would eliminate the disparity between the haves and the have-nots, but that's just the conundrum of human nature, and it's all for show. Sorry, there's my cynicism. Now, the moon is not quite in opposition with Uranus, which is a good thing because if it were, we might have another eclipse, as the North Node is traveling quite close to Uranus during this new moon. However, Uranus may yet give us a few twinges during this new moon. Also fortunate is the placement of Mars in Gemini retrograde, which is far enough away in degree not to influence this lunation. There is an opposition between Black Moon Lilith and Pluto at the time of the moon, but it does not influence the other planets that are involved. So while we may hear about someone's scandalous adventures, it will probably overlap the news surrounding the new moon by a few days. In general, BLM, or Black Moon Lilith, is trining the other major players of the new moon, so her effects in general will be good rather than to our detriment. Jupiter conjunct Neptune is good for humanity, especially in the sign of Pisces. Here it represents true generosity and altruism. This will draw attention to large organizations who do great work helping people all over the globe. We will find that large organizations may get huge influxes of cash during this new moon or be recognized for some truly wonderful humanitarian work. We may also hear about some quieter acts of kindness during this new moon. In addition, the Jupiter-Neptune connection to this new moon will bring home a slightly solemn tone, perhaps one of spirituality. You may find this year that there will be a much more religious tone to the kickoff of the holiday season, Black Friday. Let's hope we don't have to witness the wild and terribly gauche ads for slashed prices that encourage mobs of people to hurt one another just to get to that last item on sale. This will be a new moon that I hope comes in with quiet dignity, which is also something that Sag is capable of. Although we mostly associate Sagittarius with wild partying, don't forget that this is also the sign of the philosopher, the sage, and the judge. Those qualities of Sagittarius are not usually on display because the people who wield them appreciate that they are hard-won gifts wrought from living a hard life. The only square in this configuration is the actual moon squaring Saturn in Aquarius. This is why I feel we may be able to have a note of conservative enjoyment rather than raucous partying. Saturn will bring much more dignity to the whole affair, while the moon displays those Sagittarian qualities usually seen in the more mature Sag who has attained a level of spiritual awareness. This is the sage and philosopher who is tolerant, appreciative of life, a lover of humanity, and one with a higher perspective towards living. Saturn and Pluto may also be affected by Mars in Gemini, which most likely isn't good. While action from this aspect may be delayed because Mars is retrograde in Gemini, Mars is actually trining Saturn, which will also add to the impact Saturn has as the grand master tempering this new moon. The aspect will bring eloquence to the day, but it may contain daggers if you analyze it a bit. Mars's impact on Pluto will be difficult to predict. It is a quincunx, which means it is causing discomfort and the need for adjustment. Look for this to cause a few seats in the government to be adjusted under this new moon, especially for people who have a strong Gemini or Capricorn component in their charts. Mars is also squaring Neptune and by a few more degrees Jupiter. This will place pressure on those in large organizations, causing them to come to heel and have to answer for their actions. This will affect politicians, especially if they have planets in sensitive degrees to these three planets. So it further emphasizes the idea that adjustments need to be made, which may impact our government. Neptune and Pluto are adversely affecting our USA, Pluto, and Neptune for many months, which means that these two planets are almost always involved in lunations, eclipses, and major planetary aspects, the effects of which can be felt by our government and even the White House. Planetary aspects. Now remember that I'm giving the degree for each of these aspects, so make sure you have your natal chart handy while you listen to the aspects. On November 24th, we have Mercury at 10 degrees Sag, 18 minutes conjuncting Venus at 9 degrees Sag, 43 minutes. This happy conjunction will bless most people with good manners and an even temperament. We will be able to express ourselves well and probably tell a good joke around the dinner table. No arguments here. Almost all will steer the conversation towards safe topics and avoid controversial ones. On the 26th, we will have Mars at 20 degrees Gemini, trining Saturn at 19 degrees of Aquarius. If you want your son or boyfriend to put up the Christmas decorations this weekend, then you've hit the jackpot. Saturn trining Mars will give some great endurance and willpower to take on physical tasks. In addition, their precision will make your lights the most symmetrical and precise in the whole neighborhood. Just make sure that you have sturdy ladders because your helpers will not want to take risks, even for you. Mars is still in Gemini and still retrograde in that sign. It won't go direct until January 18th, 2023. So don't hold your breath on that one. Mars in Gemini is still putting things on hold that seem like a no-brainer. Where it comes to physically going forward with things or going forward with things in the news or social media, Mars will be holding things up. Gemini rules social media and the news, so lots and lots of things are going to be held back during this Mars retrograde in Gemini. Wait for January, and you will see an explosion of revelations about things that were not acted upon or not revealed during the period of the retrograde. Unlike Mercury retrograde, we'll not suffer from confusion over communications, but rather a dearth of communications themselves. Also, in military action, you may find things are not moving forward as expected, like Russia and any of their allies when it comes to the Ukraine. So this is a blessing for the Ukraine. Now let's move on to November 29th, where we have Mercury at 17 Sag opposing Mars at 19 degrees Gemini, and also Mercury sextiling Saturn at 19 degrees Aquarius. For those of you who have these degrees, you may find that all the suppressed feelings from the weekend explode into the open today. Be careful, as you or whoever has these degrees may be very persuasive, but also arrogant about their views, as if the other person were somehow deficient for not agreeing with them. With Mercury sextile Saturn, this aspect will balance the previous one very well. So you'll find that if problems arise, they can also be resolved in a very practical manner. Finally, into December. On December 1st, we will have three pretty big aspects: Mercury squaring Neptune in Pisces, Venus opposing Mars in Gemini, and Venus sextiling Saturn in Aquarius. If you have planets around these degrees, especially in the mutable signs, you may find yourself waxing philosophical about a subject that you really don't even believe in. Careful for getting carried away. In a few days, you will wonder what you were even talking about. Don't try to convince anyone of your beliefs today or even this week. It's just not worth the resulting embarrassment. You may also be leaving yourself open to being taken advantage of if you are ready to believe in some nonsense yourself. So take care. Now, Venus opposing Mars, with this aspect, people who are sensitive to these degrees will be offended easily. So they can be very impulsive and demand impossible things from their partners. Ouch. Venus is sextile to Saturn. And I think given the previous two aspects that are happening on this date, I would not plan any holiday festivities right now. People will exhibit great reserve or even actual fear of these social activities. So definitely not in a party mood. Also, if you have these degrees, you may find yourself inexplicably drawn to somebody much more mature than you, or you may actually feel frightened by social encounters. So it's best probably to stay home and watch movies on December 1st. No parties. On December 4th, we have Venus squaring Neptune. Not the best aspect under which to begin a relationship. If you're sensitive to this one, you'd best keep your friends close by so that they can tell you what a big mistake you're making. Be careful of getting carried away with your fantasies. Also, you may be vulnerable to snake oil salesmen at this time. However, if you're a creative person, an artist, this aspect will be great for you, inspiring you to new heights for a while. But otherwise, be careful. On December 6th, we'll have Mercury square Jupiter. On this day, there's going to be at least one person who tries to tell us that the sky is purple and that we better do something about it right away. On December 7th, we have a full moon in Gemini. This full moon is happening at 16 degrees Gemini, 2 minutes at almost midnight Eastern Standard Time. So in some time zones, this is going to actually occur on December 8th. I've done a video all about this full moon, and I hope you'll watch it. This year, the Geminian full moon has many challenging aspects, which will be very exciting. So please watch the video. I will show you the chart really quick and just say that the sun is opposing Mars. Mars is trining Saturn, but squaring Neptune and Jupiter. The moon is opposing Venus, but the moon is also conjunct Mars, which is also squaring Jupiter and Neptune. Mercury is squaring Jupiter. Venus is squaring Jupiter and Neptune. And Mars, as I said, is trining Saturn along with the moon. So be sure to watch my video, and I will include predictions for all 12 signs, and I will try to cover as much as I can about all these crazy aspects. On to December 8th, and this is not a pizza behind my head. This is a picture of the sun. We have the sun in Sagittarius opposing Mars in Gemini. So if you have any degrees that are close to this, you may have a couple of days in which you are Superman. You may feel that you can do anything physically that you put your mind on, even if it is a bit risky. So temper thyself, but go and get some work done. On December 9th, we have Venus at 28 degrees Sagittarius, squaring Jupiter at 29 degrees Pisces. So during this transit, if you're sensitive to these degrees, you may become very emotionally demanding. So you may find yourself ready to cut off a friendship due to some sort of religious or philosophical disagreement. you may suddenly become hard to get along with because you're so selfish. So probably not a day to be hanging out with your friends. On the 12th, we have the Sun sextile Saturn. Now, this is a harmonious aspect that gives people who are sensitive to it the ability to work very hard and take on responsibility at work. And since you're working so hard, be sure to take a break if you need it and don't be too hard on yourself. That's another feeling from this aspect, is being very hard on yourself. On the 14th, we have the Sun squaring Neptune. Another one, don't martyr yourself. You may be vulnerable now to addictive substances and behaviors. Be extra, extra careful of others who may want to take advantage of you. Sure, it's all fun until somebody gets addicted. Now be careful. Now, seriously though, this is also a day to be very careful with medications. So if you're needing to take something that you don't normally take, really read the label, maybe check with a pharmacist, because people could have adverse aspects to medications on this day. On the 17th, we have Mercury in Capricorn trining Uranus in Taurus. Okay, just in time for the holidays. If you're sensitive to this degree, you'll be very inspired and ready to discover and invent new things. For instance, you may gravitate towards technology. You're in for many exciting discussions and conversations that are very stimulated and will give you a wealth of exchange of ideas and opinions. On the 21st, we have the Sun squaring Jupiter, which is usually the winter solstice, but the winter solstice does not actually occur until the Sun hits 0 degrees Capricorn. So probably the 22nd will be the day of celebration for the actual winter solstice. But with the Sun squaring Jupiter, you may be ready to make big sacrifices if you're aligned to this aspect. So we've got 3 days of aspects where people are going to be giving things up for another, martyring themselves, making great sacrifices. So just be careful of that right now. You may be very overly optimistic and also idealistic. So be wary of those trying to get you involved in new movements or social clubs. They're not going to be for you, and you're going to turn around after a couple of days and go, what was I thinking? All right, on to the actual 22nd. This is when we have Venus in Capricorn trine Uranus in Taurus. So if you're sensitive to this aspect, good news is you'll feel very flirty, very independent, very confident in general. So people around you will want to be around you. They may try to win your favor, but they also may be trying to get one over on you, but they won't be able to. So enjoy the glory. Think of it as a holiday gift, but it's not going to last long. And on December 23rd, we have the new moon in Capricorn. So this new moon will be very important in setting the stage for Pluto's segue out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. It will be like hearing the overture of the musical for about 12 months. This new moon focuses on Capricorn and will set the tone not only for 2023, but for Pluto's eventual entrance and landing in the sign of Aquarius. So with the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury, and Pluto all in Capricorn, this is going to be a fairly somber new moon. There will be squares to Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, so no fanfare there. There are going to be trines to Uranus, but I don't think it's enough to warrant a really happy party mood. There may be some unexpected announcements, but I believe that the entire atmosphere is going to be somber. Still, there are a lot of trines to certain players. For instance, the North Node. Your desires and dreams can be furthered during this new moon and with this energy. So use this new moon for manifesting, going within, and focusing on what you want to achieve in 2023. Be sure to watch my Astrology for 2023 video so you can be prepared for all the astrological ups and downs and make the most of your manifestation plans. But wait, there's more. Mercury. Mercury, which will be visible in the evenings from November 25th to December 31st, will be stationing retrograde on December 29th. And while that's out of scope for this video, as I said in the beginning, it happened so quickly after the end of this period that I wanted to bring it to your attention. I have done a series about Mercury retrograde in Earth signs, and this will help you navigate the Mercury retrograde periods for 2023. In addition, be sure to watch my video, How to Handle Mercury retrograde, which is going to be linked at the end of this video and also in the description box. So that's it. I'll say thank you so much for watching. I truly enjoy doing these astrology videos and explaining everything to you. Have a wonderful month and a joyous holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.